my name is Lisa. I'm a New York City master composter with the NYC Compost Project. In honor of Compost Awareness Week, I figured I'd teach you how to make a worm bin. So I'm out here on my porch. It's a beautiful day. I have here ready my materials. You don't need much, and it's very, very easy. The hardest part is getting started. So your plastic container should have holes in it. If the container cannot provide oxygen to our worms, who also rely on the air we breathe. On the menu today for my worms, I have food scraps ready. We have some greens and the watermelon I ate last night. So here's part of the rind. I do suggest cutting up your food scraps and produce that you are going to be giving for your worms because larger pieces of fruit and vegetables take a long time to break down. So if you want to see turnaround and your compost sooner than later, definitely cut down your fruits and vegetables. Also have ready some strips of paper that are dry and some that are soaked a little bit. I did squeeze out the water. Worms breathe through their skin, so you don't want to drown them. There should never be excess moisture in the bin. We'll talk about that in a bit. Finally, I have the worms. So you can order worms online. They will usually come in coconut shavings. These worms are from another bin, so they have some strips of paper here already and some, this looks like an egg carton. So this is also serves as bedding and other various food scraps. Now, my hands are already dirty. This is what's called castings or castings. This is worm poop. Some people in this field refer to vermicomposting, so this sort of system, the castings as black gold. They are full of nutrients and really, really, really great for wherever you're placing them, your house plants, your porch plants, your garden. Okay, so what we want to do when establishing a worm bin, we want to take the drier pieces of paper, since usually due to gravity the moisture falls down. We want to allow these pieces of paper to soak up any extra moisture. So I'm taking all my drier pieces of paper. You should probably have more here, but because my worms are a little bit more established, I'm just putting this here for now. What I would do next is kind of like a lasagna. So I'm going to put some greens out here. And I'm going to start now introducing my worms. Worms do not like sunlight, so they will bury themselves. And that's why I decided to put a layer of food towards the bottom. I'd love to introduce you to one of my friends. Here we go. So this here is a worm. These are red wriggler worms. They are special to vermicomposting, what we are setting up right now. I do not suggest digging up worms from the soil in the park or what have you. These are special worms. Okay, so I'm spreading them out a little bit. A nice vermicomposting lasagna. Okay. All right, so they're already starting to dig and go down. They don't want the sunlight. They're getting acclimated. Okay, I'm gonna add some pieces of watermelon throughout the bin. Now, when it comes time to harvest the castings or the finished compost, what I start to do when I know I'm in need of some compost, my houseplants are looking a little bit like they're in need of some extra nutrients, I will put all of the food scraps on one side of the bin. That way, over the course of a couple days and weeks, the worms will all end up on this side of the bin, and then I can grab the finished castings on the other side. That's just a tip for you. But since I'm not ready to harvest anytime soon, I'm going to put my watermelon pieces all over. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to take the more moist strips of paper and put them on top. It's very important to layer underneath as much as you can, and as your worm bin's getting established, you can move things around and tuck things underneath if you notice that there is moisture buildup. So there are some troubleshooting components here that I just want to touch base on. If you do find that your worm bin is getting very moist, I've been there where I'm noticing there's liquid starting to pool, take note of what you are putting in your bin. Watermelon is mostly water, so I'm glad I put some dry pieces of paper at the bottom. I know that as the worms are digesting, there will be some liquid byproduct. Okay. Basically, our worm bin is done. It's as easy as putting some strips of paper down, introducing your worms with some food scraps, layering over some moist strips of paper, and closing the bin. I suggest putting this in a place that's dark and cool. I keep this under my kitchen sink and I check on my worms almost daily because I'm eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Just note you don't want to put too many fruits and vegetables in there at a time. So I put, let's say, maybe a handful of worms in my bin just now. I'm probably only going to want to put a handful of produce in my bin for now until my worms start reproducing and there are more. Eventually, you may find that you need a bigger bin and a bigger bin as your worms are reproducing and there's lots of castings and you just want to compost as much as you can. Totally understandable and recommended if you have the space. I love composting because it's a way to reduce food waste entering our garbage systems and ending up in landfills. When food scraps break down in landfills, they release really harmful greenhouse gases such as methane, which causes climate change. So this is a great way to do your part and ease the trouble on our landfills. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comments. I'm happy to answer your questions and happy composting.